He was a wonderful person to have been the first person to got to the top of Mount Everest. As far as the Sherpas were concerned, I think they were lucky because he had to keep going back to them. It became the centre of his life. He loved those people and they loved him.
My parents were very respectable people, and they believed quite firmly that the better off nations had a responsibility to support the undeveloped countries. And I think I, without too much thought about it, absorbed a certain amount of this attitude.
Despite the huge influx of outsiders and the arrival of satellite dishes in these remote hills, Buddhist Sherpa culture is not only surviving, it's thriving. Encouraged by the Himalayan Trust, which among its other projects, helps restore old monasteries and build new ones.
The Lama is requesting what you call is a permanent deposit, not at one lump sum, but maybe every year 2 lakh, 3 lakh, up to 15 lakh rupees, so that they want to run the monastery from that.
The Gompa may be here forever, and I will certainly not be here forever. So I think the local people must be responsible for raising the money for maintaining and running the Gompa. Our Sherpa friends, who we are very fond of, are not foolish, and they're prepared to make any agreeable request. It's up to us to decide, of course, whether or not to accept them. And if we turn them down, they're perfectly happy about it. At least they have tried, and they will find some other way to deal with it.
Try to put something like that on at home.
The great strength of the Trust is its continuity. It's been here over 30 years and seen how the needs of the locals have changed. With schools and medical facilities in place,
Namaste.
The Trust has shifted its focus in recent years. Fewer new projects are being taken on. The emphasis now is on consolidating the gains already made.
Namaste.
Here at the Saleri Multiple Campus, Hillary wants to set up a facility that will give extra training to local teachers.
Ah.
For the primary teacher training.
This is a big building.
Yeah.
What we would want is the same as the other place,
yes.
Nicely finished.
Yes.
But three rock walls.
Yes.
One here, one in the middle, sees a door,
One here.
and one there.
Yes.
Side wooden.
Aung Rita, who took over from the late Mingma Tsering, is now Hillary's right-hand man. In a way, a circle has been completed. 35 years ago, the small boy who would otherwise have grown up to be a subsistence farmer was educated in one of Hillary's schools.
I went to Kumjung School, the first school that Sayeb and Hillary built. I was actually one of the most, first students, first batch of the students from that area to go to that school.
A bright pupil, Aung Rita won trust scholarships to study in Kathmandu and abroad. Classmates became doctors, teachers, even airline pilots. Like them, he will never forget the giant man who came often to their school.
With all the help he has given to my people, and my vision to him is now not only his physical tallness, but my vision now of Barasab is that he is not only tall in physical, but he is tall in his mind, in his heart, in all the good works in Solukhumbu.
Most of the Trust's money is committed to education and health spending. But word of Barasab's presence in the hills spreads quickly, and people walk for miles to petition him for help.
There are many poor people, yeah. Well, I think on this occasion, we will not help him. We'll give him 2,000, that's all. What else can I do, Yun? He's not very happy either.
It's really hard. It really is hard because every case seems to be different. We have our set number of schools and things that we support, and that's easy because we know how much we gave them last year, and we do the same this year probably. But it's the individual ones that come that are very hard, and it has to be sort of a gut feeling.
It is an intuitive process that requires the judgment of Solomon, a heart of stone, and a large wad of banknotes.
Even though we know that a proportion of the people who approach us are probably taking us to the cleaners, yet compared to ourselves, they really are impoverished. And to turn them away is always a trying business. I find it very difficult.
Yeah, it is very difficult.
It is a struggle for Hillary to call on his old friend Angduli in Kundi these days, but he makes the effort.
I agree.
Not staying, but
only a cup of tea.
yeah, that's the best bit.
It's okay for me to helicopter up here and to spend 3 or 4 hours at this altitude, as long as I go back to 8,000 feet and sleep there. I'd much prefer that the helicopter landed right outside the house, because then I wouldn't have to walk up the hill. But no, it's great to come back and meet so many old friends. And Angduli we have known forever.
In 1991, Hillary nearly died from altitude sickness while visiting Kundi. Every trip up here now, he plays a deadly game of Russian roulette with his vascular system. His friends are resigned to the fact that while a stroke might stop him in his tracks, they cannot. Today, despite the physical distress, he risks himself again, going even higher to Tengboche Monastery.
I'd like a little sit down.
Okay.
This splendid temple, surrounded by the most beautiful mountains in the world, is of huge religious significance to the Sherpas. When, in 1989, the original building was destroyed by fire, Hillary, although no longer a religious man, threw himself like a zealot into raising funds to rebuild it.
Oh, the paintings are great. I feel that I have a very considerable sense of responsibility towards all these projects in the Himalayas. And I think that as long as I can keep going without disastrous consequences, I probably will do so.
When Ed Hillary climbed Mount Everest, life presented the reserved beekeeper from Tuakau with opportunities he could hardly believe. He seized those opportunities and used them in what he once described as his lifelong battle against boredom. But more importantly, he came to use them for the benefit of others.
He exemplifies the oldest and most solid characteristics of the way we like to think New Zealanders are, which is not like New Zealand of the 1990s, but a much earlier New Zealand. And it's why we admire him so much. He's just a person we can all feel good about and identify with.
I feel that the media really created a hero of Ed Hillary, whereas I know perfectly well I'm a person of very modest abilities. But I do take a little bit of credit, I think, for taking advantage of the opportunities that arose. I think that when I start something, I like to carry it through to a successful conclusion. And although I don't always perhaps follow the rules, yet I have had the good fortune really to ultimately be successful. Well, I think I'm a very ordinary New Zealander, and as such tend to behave in the way that many, many very ordinary New Zealanders do.
Thank you very much.
Tucci Tucci from Sherpa Hillary.